What I'm going to show you today is how to remove the electric starter from your snowblower. So if your snowblower has a Tecumseh motor like this, you'll see how to take off the starter. First, you want to start by removing these two screws here. They're fairly long screws too. So then this part will come out, which is the starter switch. So there's the starter right there, right underneath the gas tank. So the next thing to remove are these two bolts here, this one here and this one right there. They're 3/8 diameter head size, and it's also got a Torx hole in it there, and that is a number T30. I recommend using a wrench or a socket if possible, because sometimes they're really tight. It may be hard to get off with just a Torx wrench. So I'm going to use a 3/8 socket with the wrench, because then I know it's not going to strip the bolt. Get it loosened anyways with this. Once you get it loosened, you can use your Torx screwdriver, which is a lot quicker, and just take the two bolts out. So this starter here is only bolted from the bottom, and on the top here there's these two grooves that go into other bolts on the engine. So once you've got your starter removed, you can check it to see if everything's good. You want to make sure that none of the teeth here on the starter are broken on the gear. You can also lube it by pulling on the gear like that. Creates a space here, and you can spray in WD-40 or liquid wrench, because then it goes on the spline shaft and it makes it a lot smoother when it's really cold out. Do not put grease inside there, because the grease may get hard and prevent your gear from working properly when it's cold out. So this one's good. I just took it off to show you guys how it's done. Now I'm just going to put it back on. So now what you got to do is line up these two grooves here on the starter to the two bolts here. Now these bolts have a space in between, which is the thickness of those grooves on the starter, and they have to slide underneath in between the engine and the bolts here. So start by inserting the starter in like that. You want to make sure the gear's underneath that cover. Push it forward, and then once it's pushed forward, just push up so that the grooves on the starter go in behind those two bolts. Next, you want to insert a bolt in there. Next, you want to insert a bolt in there. It's also recommended to put Loctite on your bolts. This is the Permatex Loctite. It's the medium strength and it's blue in color. So I'm just going to put a bit on that bolt, just like a drop or two. Just like that. And that'll prevent the bolt from coming loose with all the vibrations. So once I've tightened them as tight as I can with a Torx wrench, I'm going to do the final tightening with the wrench and the socket. Like I said, there's a lot of vibrations on these engines, and I've seen starters in the past come loose. And the last thing to put on is the switch. So now what you want to do is line up the two screws on the switch to the two holes on the cover. I'm going to do the final tightening of these screws by hand because it's too easy to strip them with a drill. And that's it. Now you can test it. So now what I'll do is I'll just test it quickly, just to make sure that everything's okay. So it worked pretty good. It's pretty simple and anybody can do this. If you're not sure, just send me an email and I'll assist you in any way I can.